The creature does not rush toward him. It does not roar or attack. Instead, it stands tall and still, its massive form shifting like a living storm. Will feels its attention lock onto him, heavy and suffocating, as if dozens of invisible claws are gripping the inside of his mind. He hears a low vibration, not a word, not a whisper, just a sound that speaks directly to his fear. It's the sound of recognition. The Mind Flayer remembers him. Then the vision shifts. Not suddenly, but gradually, like a slow turn of a camera. The Mind Flayer dissolves into smoke, and in its place rises a tall, broken figure. A twisted shape with dark vines spreading from his body like roots. A shape Will has tried to forget Vecna, but what terrifies Will even more is that Vecna doesn't look like he is attacking. He looks like he is waiting for Will. His eyes glow faintly, and for a moment, Will thinks he hears his name echo through the air. Soft but unmistakable, not spoken with violence, spoken with intention, like someone calling out to something they own. Will tries to run, but his legs don't move. The upside down shifts again. Suddenly, he is no longer just a visitor, he is inside the mindscape. The world around him becomes a swirl of memories. The shed where he was taken, the lab where he screamed, the hallways where he ran, the shadows that chased him. These memories don't appear like flashbacks. They appear like traps, pulling at his emotions, feeding on his fear. He realizes he's not just seeing the upside down, he's seeing his trauma used against him, and then the most terrifying part arrives. He sees Hawkins's hometown ruined, buildings broken, streets cracked open, ash falling like snow from a burning sky, vines cover everything, crawling over cars, homes, and familiar places he once played in. And at the center of it all stands Vecna, towering above the destruction like a king claiming his kingdom. But what makes Will tremble is not the destruction, it's the sickening feeling that he somehow caused it, or that he was used to make it possible. The vision ends just as quickly as it began. The world fades, the shadows spill away, and Will is thrust back into reality. He gasps for air, shaking, drenched in sweat. His friends think he's having a panic attack, but Will knows better. He knows the truth that no one else can see yet. The vision wasn't a warning, it was a message. And it wasn't about what might happen. It was about what is already set in motion. After the vision, something inside Will begins to break, not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly, like a crack forming deep inside a piece of glass. The world around him still looks the same, but he no longer feels connected to it. His friends talk, laugh, and make plans, but all he can hear is the echo of Vecna's presence in his mind. It's like a shadow, trailing behind every thought, waiting for him to slip. Will tries to act normal, but every time he opens his mouth to speak, his voice feels trapped, like something is gripping his throat from the inside. He starts to avoid eye contact. When someone looks at him for too long, he feels exposed, like they might discover the truth he's desperately hiding. He forces a smile whenever someone checks on him. But even those smiles start to look stretched and empty, more like masks than expressions. Each night, he lies awake staring at the ceiling, replaying the vision again and again. The destruction of Hawkins, the Mind Flayer watching him, Vecna calling out to him. These images cling to him like wet clothing, impossible to shake off. The weight of guilt grows heavier with each passing day. Will has always felt responsible for the chaos that entered his life, even though none of it was his fault. But now, the feeling is stronger, sharper, like a knife pressing against his chest. He wonders if he is the reason Vecna can return, if he is the doorway, if he is the weakness the monster has been waiting to use. These thoughts don't come in gentle whispers, they come in waves, crashing through his mind until he feels breathless. And for the first time since the upside down touched him, Will feels completely alone. He tries to talk himself out of the fear. He tells himself it's just trauma, just stress, just old memories resurfacing. But deep down, he knows this isn't like before. The vision wasn't random. The symptoms weren't random. The connection isn't fading, it's strengthening. He can feel it every time his heart beats too fast. Every time the air suddenly turns cold. Every time his neck tingles with that old familiar signal. Something is building inside him, rising like a tide he cannot stop. The worst part is that he doesn't know when it will crest, or what will happen when it does. As the emotional pressure grows, Will starts to distance himself from everyone around him. When Mike tries to talk to him, Will gives short answers, afraid that if he opens up even a little, everything will spill out. When Jonathan checks on him, Will insists he's fine, even though his hands are trembling. When Joyce puts a hand on his shoulder, he pulls away too quickly, unable to explain that her touch sparks a fear he can't control. It's not because he doesn't trust them, it's because he's terrified of hurting them physically or emotionally. He remembers all too well what happened last time he lost control. He remembers the pain, the screaming, the helplessness, and he refuses to let that happen again. But isolation only makes the fear worse. The silence around him turns into a heavy echo, amplifying every dark thought in his mind. He starts imagining the worst. Losing control again, attacking someone he loves. Becoming a puppet for Vecna, or worse, becoming a gateway that allows the Upside Down to swallow everything. Each scenario plays over and over in his head until he feels like he's living inside a nightmare. Even when he's awake, his emotional collapse reaches its peak when he realizes that no matter how far he runs, he cannot escape what's inside him. One night, overwhelmed and exhausted, Will finally breaks down. The tears don't start gently, they fall suddenly, violently, like a dam bursting after years of pressure. He buries his face in his hands, trying to quiet himself, but the fear pours out of him in uncontrollable waves. He whispers to himself that he doesn't want to be this way, that he doesn't want to feel this connection, that he doesn't want the darkness inside him. It's one of the rawest moments he has ever faced because for a brief second, he believes the Upside Down has already won. But even in this collapse, the truth becomes clear. Will's emotions aren't his weakness. They are the reason Vecna targets him, the reason the Upside Down holds on to him, the reason he is so important to the story. Because Will's heart, fragile, scared, and full of pain, is also where his strength lives. And while Vecna may try to break him from the inside, it is Will's emotional depth that will decide what happens next. This collapse is not the end. It is the moment before the storm. The moment where Will finally understands that he is not just running from the darkness, he is standing at the center of it. And everything that comes next will depend on whether he gives up or fights back.